Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
And let's see, today is Friday, June 18th, and there is very little going on in the market. You can see there's no red folders, hardly any news at all coming out. So it just seems like a normal day in the backyard. So we'll press on from that. Let's see what how our strength meter is looking. And right now we're looking pretty much Canadian dollar strength, US dollar strength, euro strength, yen strength. The yen is strong it's about the middle of the 15 and 30 time frames. We're primarily looking at the strength of the CAD and the dollar, weakness of the Swiss franc and the Aussie and New Zealand. So keep that in mind. The British pound looks like it's kind of in the middle of the road, so we won't pay a lot of attention to that. But when the trades come, we'll take a look and see what we have, and we'll play it accordingly. Let's see, where's my... And this is the S&P 500, and it's this thing's been all over the place these last couple of days. And you can see right now I've got a hedge on right now. I had to buy a couple of days ago, and it pulled back, or when it went to buy, took a sell on it. So right now I have a hedge. So right now this thing's just stabilized, and looks like the sell move, it had a nice little push down. And right now this chart I haven't had to change the drawing on this chart at all for the last couple of days. So basically I'm going to be buying down here. So when if it gets a little bit lower into the sell area, I'll unleash my sell for a profit. And if it goes back up, by that time I should have enough perhaps to be able to get out of my my long position. And if I can just get to where collectively I can get this thing to break even, I'll be out and close everything out, and I'll move on to the next trade. Until then, we'll just keep on playing that one by ear. So right now, I'm not in a big hurry to get out of it either way. I had a nice little drop here just a few minutes ago. Looks like it's giving back some of that, but right now it looks like it's respecting this wedge. So if it comes back out here, I should be able to, here's my sell position. So that's profitable. And in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait and see where this thing closes. If this thing closes inside this, I'll release my sell position, wait for it to come up, and then I should be able to get out of my buy position with close to a profit, or maybe at least a break even collectively. And so that's that. Let's take a look at, we said the CAD was strong. Let's take a look at the the CAD, and this is the CAD New Zealand. New Zealand was weak, the CAD was strong. And we have not a bounce, but we have a nice little arrow here to the downside, 16 pips. That's not too bad. We have moving averages. See if there's room on the moving averages to take something here. Template load. All of our moving averages are in the right direction. We have our 200 moving average. Everything's below. We'd look to possibly go short. We do have a little zone right here that was from back earlier this morning. And we did get a break of the overnight session. Just to recap a little bit on what this arrow software does. We're going to have right about there is where the money zone is, and we had a overnight high, the overnight body low, which had been right about in this area before the money zone. Once it hits the money zone, it broke down. This would have been a trade to take it short. Got a bounce off of it, and a nice little retrace. So here's the range here. If I take this and measure it, we have about 40 pips. That's not too bad of a range on a 15-minute chart. It's about as tight as I'd want to get. But we can draw this with the, I'll take it with the overnight high, the overnight low. Draw my target zones. It may get a little late in getting this till we get this thing drawn out, but I like to usually have plenty of time to draw the charts out and wait for the entry. This one may not work. We do have a nice little zone. If this from here to here, that's only 6 pips. That's not enough room, but if this little zone breaks, we should have room to the downside on the for the target zone on the, let's see where we have, let's go to our 30-minute chart and see if there's a target zone down below. Nothing there. Nothing there. Looks like there was a little bit of a bounce. This is, right now, this looks like this is the area where it's being retested. You can see where there's a pivot low, low, rejected. Came down, rejected, came down, rejected. It was, this area started way back here in May, and it was hit once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and now it's starting to break through the bottom of this area. And we just have to look and see. Here's our green. We're in a green zone, but right now we're still trying to find out where is the last pivot low, and that's going to be right about in here. You want to find out where the target is. I don't care how far back you go. You can go back. Sometimes you have to go back even a couple years to find out where the last target was. But this is it right here. So I'm going to mark that. This pivot low right here. And we're going to see that could be the possible target. We have a little bit of a wick right there. And that is right at where we are right now. So if it can break through this area, it's got a little bit further to go down to the 85.75 area, which is quite a ways down there when you're looking at a weekly chart to find that. We're going to scoot up here, see where the bounce is, see if it gets a bounce. That's only 4 pips to that target, so I'm going to pass on that because I would be more apt to see this thing bounce to come back up again. So we're going to keep our powder dry on this one. It just has been, it's hit this area way too many times to expect it to come through. If it breaks through, then we have all this area down here for a new target. And that would give us lots of room to, that's about 42 pip move to the downside. And so we're just going to wait and see what happens and see if we get a bounce off of this. And then we'll take it from there. I'll draw my upper and lower zones. Being on a Friday, I don't expect this thing to, I would not be surprised to see this thing just stay in this range today and not break through this zone here. But stranger things have happened.
Actually, I do have a request for you, Al. If
All right.
you'd be able to, pardon me, analyze the pound US on the, excuse me, on the 15-minute.
US, okay.
Danielle has placed a sell on it, so she was asking.
Pound US 15 minutes. That's going to be right about here. No, I didn't draw that one out. Pound US. All right, let's move it and take a look at this one. And so this is sort of casual Friday where we have, so there was a bounce arrow, no go. Well, there was a go, but we don't even know where the zone was. There's no zone at all on this. So we have a nice little bounce. We have a bounce off of this zone. This zone was created off the bounce. Now the question is, we have a little bit of a trend line. Danielle, did you take a long or short?
Short.
Short, okay.
Short.
That's not to say that's a bad thing. Don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing yet. Okay, so right now, looks like a short. This is a trend line. Here's the anchor. Here's the hit. There's a near hit. It made a little Didn't quite come all the way up, got rejected. So there were some sellers came in here from this area to here. We have 16 pips. I'd say that's a good possibility of a short. You have a couple zones. You have a couple of zones to get through here right now on the lower time frame. This is a B, C possible. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a nice strong move up possible. I would not go for a whole lot, especially with these two zones on here. Here's an anchor. Here's a hit. So we got our trend line on the bottom. Actually, I like this one a little bit better than I did the other one. It's a little bit more room to work with. But here's the anchor, here's a hit, here's the break of the trend line coming back down. This is a little area that's going to, it found some buyers coming in this area. So this little zone is still, it's going to be valid. This could be a little bit of a head fake. Now we're going to see if it breaks through this area, where is the next stop on the road? So we're going to have to go to the higher time frame to see if we can find any green zones below where it is right now. You see, the green zones aren't even showing up on this. We have lots of pressure to the downside, but right now we have nothing green over here to even look at. So we're going to have to keep on going to a higher time frame. Here's where the next zone is. So I'm going to put a marker there on that. And we're going to see if we can look across here and see what caused that zone to happen with that. And you can see this was nice. This is the origin of the strong move up, came back down. Now it's retesting this area. This is the origin of where we have this little pivot right here. This was looks like a little bit of a doji. So this is going to be a significant point on this one. So let me mark that. Go to our lower time frame. Let's go back to our 15-minute chart. We'll see where those other lines, where they are. And we're right in this zone right now. So there, it is a nice little push. I would not be surprised to see this thing test this. I have a little zone on this one.
I would assume that she got into it right at the pivot low.
I'm going to just mark this. That's the next zone on the that we can see off that 15-minute chart. Let's expand this out and see what we have. Again, a little bit of a pullback. And let's draw our Fibonacci's. Let's see.
What was your price point, Daniela, where you got in?
So I like this range right here. This is a nice little range. This is where we had there's a pivot high. This is off the trend line. And here's the low. Here's the bounce. Here's now it's looking to come down here. I think this could be a good short. Let's see. Let's get it on the pips here. And before I get too far, let me put my moving averages up here.
One, 3, 8, 6, 2.
Okay, this is our range that we're going to be playing with. All of our moving averages are in the right direction. We have all the crossovers. Here's our range.
She got in at 13862, Al.
13862.
Which is in that green zone.
Oh, you got in down at 13862. Yeah. Okay, just at the top of that, and you went short at that top of that zone. Why do we always get in at the wrong why do we always go long get short at the bottom and long at the top? Why do we do that?
That's human nature. That's what we do. Because we see it going down, down, down. You think it's going to continue, so you jump in it, and lo and behold, it turns around and goes the other way.
I'm not being critical. I find myself doing that on occasion myself. Hence, that's one reason why I kind of get into that. I got into that buy at the top and sell it near the bottom, but right now it's kind of still working its way through here. All right, so here's your middle zone. So it came back up into the middle zone, and now it's pulling back. I think it's going to probably, I think this is not a bad one to take short, actually. Let's see here. Let's get it on the, we got the 5 minute. I like seeing the 5 minute candle close below these key lines in the direction we're going. And we did get the 5 minute candle close. These are our 3 target zones. But right now the target is going to be this bottom 23 here, which is where we are right now at the bottom of it. Again, this is one reason why I don't go for more than just a few pips, because you just never, I don't like the emotional inventory that I have to pay in order to get the bigger pips out of it. And I find myself not sleeping at night if I'm in trades overnight. That's just me. Some people can do it, some people don't. I think swing trading is a great way to go if you can handle the volatility of watching your prices go up and down, and profit loves and profit losing. I just like to get in and get out, move on to the next trade. There's usually enough down the road. All right, so it's coming right now. It's kind of stuck into this middle range here. Now we did get a break of this pivot low, but on the trend line, when we draw the trend line, here's our low, here's our hit, here's the break, but now it's breaking right into this demand zone right in here. So the question is it going to keep on going to break through here? Is there enough of a push? Now, New Zealand's weak, the Canadian dollar is strong, so that gives us, see, we're on the British, we're on the British US, sorry. British US. British is in the middle of everything. US is still strong. Strong, which means US is the second currency of the pair. So if the US is strong, that means we're looking for strength to the downside. It's got a little bit of a drop. It's basing right here, but it's going to go. Oh boy, that's so tight. Let's go 1 minute chart, see what we got. We had the little straw move. Here's the little hook. I'd say we could take this thing short. There's a room to the green zone. We have our 7 pips to the green zone, but we're right into this lower 25. I'd say if you're in short, hang in there. I think it's going to go. I'm not going to take it. I would like to see a little more room to this zone. But we do have a level on the level. So if it goes deep into this, if it reaches halfway through this zone, which could be right about in here, then you'd have your 15 pips. And British US, yeah, I think it's probably take a shot at it. I like this fact we had the down, here's the down move, pulled back. The green did not cross the yellow. Everything's still moving in the right direction. Dollar is still strength to the British pound by quite a bit. And I see no reason we can't. Let's take a shot at this one. Put my stop and target in, modify. I'm going to do 150, 70, 7 pips, 15 pip stop, set my trade, and there I am. Now my stop is all the way up here. I have no intentions of letting it go for a full 15 pips to stop me out. So here's my target right here, just before the zone, which is good. So I'm going to pull this, I'm going to move this thing down to pretty much, I can put it pretty much right where this trend line got broken. Actually, I'll put it up just above this moving average right here. I'll just bring it down a few pips, tighten it up a little bit. If this thing, because this thing should give us, we have a little straw move down, pull back, and we have a little flat top. We'll put a flat top wedge on here. I would like to see this thing kind of break through the bottom of this. Now this could be, I'm not going to give this thing a lot of room. If it breaks the top of this, then I'll probably be looking at this thing. But right now it's respecting this moving average right here. It's also respecting the yellow moving average. If it comes up and breaks and closes above the yellow moving average and closes above this line, which is this little pivot high, if I get a 5 minute close above that, then I'm going to be out of this trade.
Alchemy? Okay, can you put it on the 15-minute for a moment? I just wanted to see something.
Okay. See,
Okay,
here's our,
so
we on a
what I'm
15-minute.
looking at here is that Daniela, you probably should have waited for the pullback before jumping into it.
What was the entry on this one? 60 something?
She got in at that 38.62, I believe. So instead of waiting, you should have drawn your fibbo from the top until it finally stopped going down and then waited for the pullback. And as you could see, it went up to 62 and then started coming back down. And I think that's the error of your ways, so to speak. You didn't wait for the pullback. You just jumped into it.
Because you remember, when it finds its bottom, it pulls back out, and you should get that retest of the bottom where here's the bottom. And now we did get, this is kind of the retest right now. This could be the retest. This will pivot right here. And you can see that's right around, here's our monies, here's our lower 25. This is halfway through. You can see this little wick came back down. Now I could have, projectively, I could have drawn this thing to be somewhere where it's going to come back down and retest it. And you don't know where that is. But it came down pretty quick and then rejected again. So the buyers came in right in this area. Now the question is, now here's my target. So we're going to see if it comes back down and retest that area. But right now it's on a 15-minute chart. We did get the close again of the 15-minute close of this, came up, came back down, closed below this bottom one, and now it's looking to see if it can go lower. But it came up, closed below, went lower, came up, closed above, went up a little bit higher. This one was supported. This one was rejected, and it came right down to this lower one. Now this is our that's our pivot. That's the pivot high that we drew. Let me get back on the lower chart here. These are, it wasn't such a pain to change the color of this. I'd change the color of that one. Okay, see, we did get a little bit of rejection. Now we have a low, a higher low, and now this could be our wave 1, wave 2. This could be our wave 3 coming up. And so right now I'm going to probably pull this trade. Here we have the crossover of the moving averages, came up, retested this. Here's a pullback, and we'll see what happens here. Right now, if it goes up higher before it gets to my target, I'm going to be out of this trade. So I'm going to move by the fact this was rejected. I'm going to move my stop down here. Make sure we have our spread taken care of on this. Give a little room for the spread. So right now I've got right now my stop is, I have written out a 15 pip stop. Now I have a 7 pip stop. This trend line is broken. I'll take that one off. The moving averages have still been respected. We didn't get the close, but if we get if this thing comes up and closes above here, this thing's changing. Then I'm looking at this thing's changing direction. It still has some downward pressure off of these other moving averages, so this could be a little bit of a head fake in here. Here's my target. It just little green zone just popped up down there. We did get the close above this pivot. No, is that a 5-minute close? Let's see if that's a 5-minute close. I don't know if it is. I like seeing the close on the 5-minute because the 1 minute can whipsaw you a little bit. Right now, this 5-minute candle did not close, and right now we have a new 5-minute candle forming. It could come up here, wick, and come back down. So right now, I may get stopped out here. We'll see. I kept my stop pretty tight. And this is the 38% zone. So if this one closes, which is where that pivot was, pretty much if we get a 5-minute close above this, I'll be out of it before then, but we're going to see what happens here. This looks like it's starting to turn around.
Okay, so next up we have, can you have a look at the NASDAQ on the 15-minute as well? When you're done
NASDAQ on
with
the
the
15.
GU.
And yep, I just got stopped out on that one. We'll keep an eye on this one. If this 5-minute candle, if this breaks and closes above that, I'm going to be probably reversing positions, taking this thing long. Here's our pivot low. Here's our hit. That's the bottom of that wedge. And now we have the trend from here. This one's coming on down. There's anchor. Here's a hit. And you can see this is an energy point right here. If we get this close above here, then it's probably going to go up higher. And I may go ahead and reverse positions. British pound, US dollar, British pound. US dollar is still strong on many cases, although it is losing ground on the lower time frame. So we'll keep an eye on that. You said the NASDAQ, you said?
Yes, on the 15-minute.
This looks a little bit like the S&P, where it had a nice strong move up, basing, and got a lot of room here on this side. This was yesterday's range. Here's yesterday's low. Here's the origin of this big move. Here's where it crossed over. This is the lowest before it crossed over the moving average. Get my other moving averages up here. And I'm going to draw my fibs. I believe there's going to be plenty of room on this. These indexes have been pretty wild here lately. Here's my upper 25. And that's pretty much where it's hanging in right now. Here's our first target zone right here. Second target. Third target. If it comes out of here, we're looking for the retrace. So right now we do nothing but sit on our hands. We have moving averages are starting to, they've consolidated all right up in here, and now they're starting to, we have the break of the green versus the yellow. Go to lower time frame, see what it looks like. And here's our straw move down. Here's our retrace. Here's a pullback. I like to see a crossover out of this zone before, but this is, what's the range here on this? That's a $50 move on that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, NASDAQ. Yeah, NASDAQ's got a lot higher ranges on that.
Yeah.
Right now, everything is moving in the right direction. Here's a little green pullback. I still like to see it break out of the bottom here. I don't know if there's enough room to the bottom or not. Probably is. I usually like to see it break out of that 25 area and come back up and retest it and then give us this little move. This is a little bit premature for me. Let's take a quick back look at the British US, see where that's doing. We did not get the close above the 38. I'm on a 5-minute chart. It came up, wicked it, closed, did not close. This thing's still short for right now. We'll see if this thing can come up and see what it does with these moving averages. If it comes up and hits those, if it hits that and comes back, you reject, then you can maybe get back in on the pullback. This candle, this 5-minute candle is going to be key. Let's go back to the NASDAQ. I like this for a short. The dollar is strong right now, which would help support this thing going to the downside. Here's our origin of the move, came back down, pulled back to the 50% of this pullback, and now we'd be looking at this for the first target, and then this one be the second target down in this area. Now we do have a bounce arrow off of this zone right now, but that's on a 1 minute bounce. This would be a bag trade off the off this zone. I said I'm not quite ready to take this thing short yet, but this is a nice little pullback. And here's our first low, bounce, lower low. And we'll see what it does in this little area. Probably a good chance this little green zone is going to go away if it punches back down to the bottom here. I'm going to use this whole move, retest the 61% of the down move from this move, top of this one to the bottom, retrace back 61%, almost 61%. So the target's going to be, it's got to break through here, and then the target would be down to this area. And we'd be looking at this little area right in here. I still want to see a breakout of this blue zone. Getting a little bit of a bounce. So right now what I could do is I could put a sell stop in right at this area and look at this for the target. That'd be a $15 move to the downside. Looks like the S&P's losing strength as well. Trade, sell stop. If this thing has enough momentum to break through this bottom zone, it's probably could come down here and retest this. This would be my target. And the target would be 14,132 if I get filled. I'm not in this trade yet, or am I in the trade? Nope, I'm not in. I'm still waiting for this one. You can see how with my hedge, where I buy and my sell together, and you can only do this with an international broker. My profit margin hasn't changed any. As this goes up and down, the only thing that's going to change it is the swap fees are going to change it at the end of the day. But other than that, it stays pretty stable. But I'm looking to see where I want to get out of this. If this thing starts to bounce off of here, I'll close this one out and let the buy position get less negative, or maybe even take another buy position on a pullback. And we are now about to enter into this trade. If this gets a nice little push down, we'll see what it does. So I'm not going for a lot. Actually, I think my position is too big on this one. I didn't change that. Try this again. I want to 0.05 on that. Now I'm in the trade with a little bit better position size. Trading on Fridays can be a little bit dicey at times. You say you don't want to give back your profits. Still lots of room to the downside. My stop is going to be pretty much right up above in this area, 14,167. So I'll put my stop and my target in here. And my target is going to be about 14,130. So I am in this trade. It did get me in. Let's see if it can pull back to this blue zone. It pulled back to the 61% retracement, so I'm looking at the 61% overextension, and my target is right at the top of that line. Maybe move it up just a little, just a hair. Now we'll see if we got a 5-minute close on the bottom here. Go to 5-minute candle. This candle now is forming. This 5-minute candle, a strong move down, but it did not close below there. So this is really the first minute of the next candle. Right. Let's see, we need to move this over to when this candle closes, when it hits that blue line, when my 1-minute chart hits that blue line, that's my 5-minute candle close. So far, so good. All right, that 5-minute candle did close below this blue zone, and it's now pushing back down, see if it hits my target. If it comes over close to my target, there it goes. I'm in and out. Done. Let's see what it does with this overextension. And keep in mind that I was able to use a higher lot size because I was looking at such a tight stop. And we talked about that yesterday. Here's our overshoot area. It's coming right down into that overshoot. Find some buyers coming in right in this area. And that's pretty much it for that trade for right now. Let's go back to our British US and see what it's doing. And Danielle, you should be happy right now. Looks like it's came back up and retested it. Now it's coming into the zone where we were looking at. It's 5 minutes. Let's see where the 1 minute is here. I had my stop a little bit too tight. I should have waited for that 5-minute close above this trend line. There's a nice drop, base, drop, retesting this area. Looking at my S&P trade over here, let's see where the S&P is doing. See if we can find a place to unleash this little area, this little guy. S&P chart. Here's my trend line. That's a 1 hour. Let's go to 1 minute. Got a little bit of a bounce right in here, which is pretty much what the NASDAQ did. And right now have a nice little spread here. If I unleash this, then I'll be negative 242, 244 on this one, but we're at the low point. So then I'd be looking to see a reversal to maybe take a buy to maybe dollar cost average to sell. If I can get a buy down here, my average would be right about in the middle, which is right about where that red zone is. So I'm going to pull this one, close that one out. Now I'm waiting to see if I can get a little bit of bounce where this becomes less negative. Now this thing can come less negative if I can get a buy position. Here's my target. Here's where my entry was, way up in here. So if I can get a buy down wherever I can get a buy for the same lot size, my dollar cost averaging would be from this one down to, let's say I get in here, my dollar cost, my break even point is going to be right in this zone. Where's my, this would be my break even point right in here. But I have to get a buy down here. If I don't take a buy, just wait for it to pull back, I could still overall close out the two trades being profitable, but I don't want to get into it long again because I don't know where the bottom is going to be. I want to see a confirmation that this thing's going to start going back up. But this is the area I'll be looking at for the retrace. And remember, you're looking at where there's a high, there's a low. Go to my higher time frame. You see, this is the upper 25% of the range. We're in the lower 25. Now, if this thing breaks to the downside, but we have a lot of green area right here. So I'm going to see this thing bounce off of, we got to hit a trend line. Here's the anchor. Here's the first hit. Here's the hit. I should get I'm expecting a little bit of a rejection off of this because we're in the lower 25. And now I could be looking at a possible bounce to the side. Let's see if we get the bounce. And if this area breaks, I could always still take another short just to help stabilize it. But right now I'm okay with this thing. I've done this several times in the last couple of days. So even if I close this out right now, I'd still be profitable. Overall for this pair. How's our NASDAQ trade doing for you? It broke through this zone, so it keeps on going. This was the next target area that we looked at to see where this thing was going to be a possible support area where we could get a bounce off of this. And we did that off of the higher time frame. Came all the way over here and see where these wicks are. Let me move this out of the way. See if I can expand this out a little bit, see if we can see this a little bit better. Here's a strong move up. This was way back on this is 7th to 17th. So this thing could very well, the fact that this is a strong candle, it's a 4-hour candle, but you see there's no hesitation in here. If I take my Fibonacci and draw it just on this candle alone, from the origin of this candle to the top, now you can see I'm in my 50% zones. I can move these a little bit tighter. Here's a 38. Here's my 50. Here's my 76 or 61. That's my middle zone. Move this up to, change this one. Move that up to this area. Here's my lower 25 of this candle. And this could be the new target on down here. Let me get rid of some of these here. Delete that one. Delete that one. There's my zones. That was based on that 4-hour, that one big 4-hour candle. And you see, right now we did not get a close below this bottom section. But it's still trending down, and it looks like if we get a 5-minute, again, if we see a 5-minute candle close below that, then I'd be looking at this being the target. And that'd be a $25 move off of that. So this thing still has some pressure to the downside. We'll see what it does in this little zone right in here. Well, that's the S&P. I don't want to do that. Let me move this out of the way. This was a trend line that it broke. It did break this trend line, coming up to retest it. It broke it, came up, retested it. And we have a little bit of a area right in here. Let me get this one, change this one. Here's our wedge. It's still inside this lower 25. There's a little break. Still heading on south. I'm not really too worried about this because I know this thing's going to find a bottom someplace. And once it finds the bottom, I can take a long, and then I can have my range for my break-even point is going to be, the lower this thing goes, the lower I can get a new buy coming in. The middle range is going to be where my break-even is going to be. And in fact, it started up in this area and it's breaking through here. There's a good chance it's going to come back and retest that area again. Let's go to a higher time frame, see what we have. Now the S&P is probably doing the same thing here. Or the Nasdaq's doing this. Here's the zone. There's the lower 25. We'll see what it does. Remember, this was the origin. This was the origin of this move. It came back down and retested, found the buyers coming in right around this area. If this breaks, then we're probably going to head on down to retest the bottom here. And I can draw the Fibonacci's from this area, find out where they overlap. Let's see, right now we have the, let's just mark this zone in here. This is our first orange area right here. And I'm going to move these things down to 61. This is for the main move that we're looking at. There. This is our middle zone. Here's our lower 25 of the origin of this move. Here's the upper 25, which is going to be, where's my high? I take a little bit higher here. I'll bring it down. Here's the upper 25%. Here's our lower 25. Now we're going to see what it does with these three targets. And see where it finds its happy spot. I have a green zone it's got to get through. We have 3 zones right here. And we'll see if it gets the 5-minute close below this area. I'm going to make this one orange, this spot orange. That was where those 3 lines were before I took them off. And we'll just wait and see what it does. How's our British US doing? That one's still tanking. So the fact that it broke through this bottom zone, we've got to look and see where the next area is going to be. Since this was violated, we have to see where the next area is going to be. So we're going to go to our charts again.
I think Danielle is probably close to her target, though.
Yeah, she's got to be close. This has been a nice little move down.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Time template. I'm just going to reload the template and redraw this. Since it broke through the bottom here, we'll see where we have a green zone right there. So that's a possible area that we'd be looking at. Remember, we didn't have any zones that we were trying to find zones before on the higher time frame. Now we were looking at this area right here, but it looks like this little pivot is getting broken right now with this zone. Now the question is, will that green zone hold or is it going to go? If it goes away, this thing still has some room to the downside. So we have to find out where that downside is. And we got, let's see if we can just zoom in here. Maybe we can find it that way. Nothing on that chart. Looking for a new green zone down below. So here we are. This is the area that we're looking at. So we have this little zone right here. This is going to be a area of interest. This will be an area of interest. Now we can go back to our other time frames and see what we have here. Now, say if you look at the lower time frame charts, you don't even know those zones exist, but they're there. So I'd be looking at, and that was on a higher time frame. We had to go all the way up to what was it, an hour chart? Yeah, we had to go up to an hour time frame chart in order to find that green zone. And I would expect some sort of a bounce in this area. So we were looking at this pivot. It did break. Do we have a close? Let's see if we have a 5-minute close below this little line right here. If we draw our fibs from this pivot to the high, you can see that this low was broken. Now the question is going to be is can this candle close below this 100 line? Put on a 5-minute chart. Looks like it did close below, but now we're going to see it getting the pushback. So right now, here is our strong move down. Here's our 50. There's our 50%. Let's see. Let me just draw these zones here. The upper zone is still going to hold. Now the question is how far the 20. As we move this, you'll see this section will change, but the high is going to remain the same. So here's my upper 25% of this move right now. Let me get to another chart and get the numbers here. Let me get my, where's my blue zone? Need to get my numbers for my boxes. If you want to change your colors, there's usually a colored number pattern. You just copy that and you go back to your other chart. And you can change the color here. There we go. We know these are higher time frame number zones that we haven't determined where they are, where this is going to end up. So I'll keep those orange. Here's our lower 25. This one got broken right now. So what we can really do is right now we're looking to see what happens for this pullback. Up until this break, these are our 3 zones that we're looking at, our target zones. See that one? That one. We'll see how far it's going to pull back. Now, in fact, it made a new low and close. I'm going to go ahead and slide this over. And now this is our new range. The high is still the same. And we'll just adjust the fact I adjusted this to a different level. I'm going to change these a little bit here just to keep them. Because this was a down move. These are the targets created in the down move. And now we're looking for the targets, using these targets to cash from this range up to the top here. Move this down. Remember, the prices generally go from the extreme and they settle in the middle somewhere. This is the middle part. And once it starts trending up into this area, pulls back, gives us our pullback to retest, and then with this would be the wave 1, this would be the wave 2, and then wave 3 is going to be coming on up. So we're looking for this to come up and then come back and retest this low right in here. Once it retests the low, then we're looking for that wave 3 move. We don't know where it's going to pull back to. We don't know how high it's going to go, but this is what we're projecting right now. So I'm looking for a move up. It may come up and cross, reject, then we get the pullback. Somewhere down here. Here's wave 2. So this would be wave 1. This would be wave 2. And then wave 3 would be this one coming on up to, may come up to here, pull back. But eventually it's going to go on up to, looking up to this area. Right now we don't know where these are going to end up. My suspicion will be it's going to come up and retest this moving average right in here. And probably retest this line. If it doesn't get up that high, it could go deeper into this area, and then we're going to move our Fibonacci down lower and do the same thing all over again. We don't know how low is going to be. We're not going to try and pick the bottom. All we want to see is a strong rejection of I'll get a low, strong rejection, and then a strong pullback to retest it, and then find that little zone that we're looking for to take our trade. Okay, questions? You can see we're off our lows on the NASDAQ, so that's the on the S&P, so we're probably off the lows on the NASDAQ as well. Do you have any questions about what we did?
There haven't been any.
Quiet group today. Again, Fridays are a good time to ask questions, get some things cleared that may be a little bit foggy to your understanding. Fridays are usually a good time to do that. I don't like giving back profits on a Friday when I'm profitable all week. I don't want to have to fight the end of Friday to try and get back to profit because I gave them back early in the morning.
Pia says, all good, thanks. I guess it's clear.
And let's see. Let's go and take this. We have this little zone. This is one we drew from before, but we're just going to take this one off right now. It's kind of cluttering things up. Don't need this one either. And let's see, let's go to our higher time frame and see exactly what we're looking at here. This is our money zone. I like this little break right here. Now this was we have two zones here. We had the move from, this is a 20%, just so you know what we did here. This is a 20% zone from this push up, come back down and retest it. This is a 20% that if this area gets broken, this is going to be the next target because of this strong move up, pulled back, found some buyers, pulled back up, and now it's retesting this area. And you can see where it's coming back up again. So right now, the zone that it's really playing in right now is this one. Now it did break, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep these zones here. I'm going to keep these as my higher time frame zones. As I have the higher time frame and the lower time. The lower time frame I'm using for the trending. Higher time frame I'm looking at using for targets. Let me say that again. I'm using the higher time frame range for my targets. And then once I get my targets set and I see the reversal, I go to the lower time frame and see how it's trending into that area. So these are my higher time frame targets. This is the upper 25, lower 25. And now I'm going to remove these Fibonacci's. So I have my zones all set, but now I'm going to be looking at this range from, let's see where we're at here. Let's go to a lower time frame chart. And let's see, I'm going to use that 4-hour candle. That's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this little pivot right here. So we had this little pivot came back down. So right now it's retesting this little pivot low right here. I'm going to go from over here. Here's the wick. I'm going to take this wick over here and see where I have a body of the candle. I'm going to come down and use this bottom of this as my zone. So right now this zone is holding. We had this little wick came back down. So basically what we're saying is that the strong move up came back. Sellers took control up here. Sellers came down, had control all the way up until it got to this little part, right, which was, if you can look, this is probably about a 30 to 8% retracement of this move. If I draw this out from the bottom to the top, you see that this range, it was retraced right over here at the 38%. So there's still a lot of strong pressure up. Now, if this thing can come back down, it's retesting this area. Take my fib off here. So as it's retesting this area, we have a little zone right here. And we're looking to see if the buyers can come back in again and push it back up again. So right now it's sort of range bound between here. But this is a strong move up based overnight. Now it's coming down to retest this. If this breaks from here, come over here to the body. Here's another wick, body, another wick to the body. It's going to go until you get a whole bunch of wicks. And so this thing could very well come back down all the way down to this. But we'll see what happens. But this little area right in here is significant. Find my corner here. Then we do have our little green zone right here, which our software does it for us. And here's the bounce. So right now, that little wick over here has gotten a little bit deeper, but the bottom of that still holds. You see this little cluster right here. That could be a good area for a turnaround point. So if this zone breaks, we got a pile of buyers right in this area. This thing still has some downward pressure. Questions? Any other charts anybody like to look at? For NASDAQ to go down, so someone says.
Yeah, aren't we all?
All right, now we have these three levels right in here that we're going to be looking at. That's of that higher time frame move.
Yeah, I need mine to go way down.
Well, it will eventually. It's just a matter of when, how long you want to have to wait.
Yeah.
Now we did get the strong move down, got the bounce, came back up, moving averages crossed, still respecting this arrow moving average. So this one's still holding. But the fact we're coming down, we came down to a zone where we're finding some buyers coming in. Now we have to start thinking about, is this going to be enough to go to my 5-minute chart and see where these candles are closing. We want to see a green candle closing above this line right in here. Here was a green candle that closed on a 5-minute chart. So this is pretty significant. This is, to me, this is significant, that low close right there. Now it's coming to retest the bottom. We'll see if if this zone holds or if it breaks down. If it breaks down, we have to reassess. British Swiss 15-minute sell. Let's take a look at that one. British Swiss. Where's my chart? And why is that not triggering my chart?
There's been a request for you to analyze the euro yen on the 1 hour.
Okay, let me get my euro yen.
Euro yen, yes, on the 1 hour chart.
Okay, let's take a look at this British Swiss here first before we get too far. Keep that in mind, euro yen.
Okay.
Load. I don't know why it didn't pop up on my. Here's a British Swiss. 15-minute. There's our arrow. It was not a bag trade because it didn't bounce. It came back up. And here's our target area right down here. 16 pips, kind of tight. A little bit of a trend line there. I like this range in here. This is a nice little range. Right now, it's right in the middle of these three zones. Soon to break that. These are our targets. And actually what we could do is the fact is we're looking at a retest of this trend line. This is the origin of the move up, rejected, move up. This one got broken. I like this move to the upside. I like this one better. Because I'm looking for the targets as it's coming down into this range. Here's my upper zone. I got this one the wrong one. There we go. Take that one. That's better. Here's my lower zone. You see we have got my 5-minute chart and see, do we have a 5-minute close below here? Yep, we do. So now we can look at this as a pullback, looking for this for the next target. Is there room to the target side? If it breaks through here again, to the downside, is there 15 pips? 12. We got 22 pips to the target. We had the down arrow. And so we're looking at a pullback. Pull back to the 50%. 50% target is going to be down right around this area. Seeing how deep this pullback comes in. So we had the strong move down out of the 25% area, pull down, came back, tagged the middle line. That's a 50% retracement. Came back up, retested it. Now we're looking for the pullback. We're seeing how far is it pulling back. The moving averages are still holding. Let's go to our 1-minute chart and see what we have here. Expand it out, put it under the microscope. I'm looking for the strong move down. I'm looking for the retrace. We had a strong move down, retrace. This could be our wave 3, wave 4. This could be the beginning of, this would be wave 4 coming up. And this could be wave 5 coming back down to retest this area. British Swiss, see what kind of, how strong the British is relatively weak. The Swiss is still kind of, they're kind of, British, they're kind of neck and neck right here. Not a real strong spread on that. British Swiss, not a real strong spread on that either. So right now, there's not a lot of volatility difference between the British and the Swiss. They're both pretty much in the middle to the lower part of the chart. This may be one to stay away from.
So we have just enough time for you to check out the Euro Yen.
Okay, let's do that real quick. Oh, we're almost done here.
Yeah.
Actually, we probably could run a little bit lower today because I don't think anybody's coming in behind us. Check the Euro Yen. Okay, let's check that Euro Yen out. Euro Yen, Euro Yen. Euro Yen. Yeah, I've been trying to stay away from the yen pairs here lately. But we'll take a look at it. Strong move down. Basing looks like it could go even lower. It's hard to say. Let's put our moving averages up. Go to higher time frame, see where we have right now. This thing's basing in between here and here. That's about a 4. Let's see, pip wise, 49, about 4 pips, is it? Let's see, 37. No, it's not right. Yen has a little different equation because it's 100 to a 1 with the dollar. Let's see, 31.31. I got my mind wrapped around the yen values here. That's, yeah, 56. That's 56 pips. So that's a good range there. Came down to the bottom. So this was our move up. This is the retracement coming back down, bounced off of that. It's bouncing off. Right now it's pretty much range bound. But I'm going to go with the. We have
Let's
a little
just
bit
find
of
out from, let's find out from Chris what it is in particular he was looking for on the 1 hour.
Yeah, that might be helpful here. Let me go to 1 hour
You just
chart and see
type
what we
it in
got.
the Q&A, please, Chris, so we know what we're looking for on your
I mean, this was a strong, on a 1 hour chart, strong move down, but this is 1, 2, this is 2 days ago. This thing moved, it looks like 286 pips, basically. That's a big move. And it's formed a little bit of a wedge down here at the bottom. But now here's our zone here. Right now, it's from the higher time frame. If you're looking at a 1 hour chart, from the green zone to red zone, that's probably what I'd be starting with to be drawing. Is breaking through this little pivot area, is broken through that. So this is no longer valid. So we have to come down to this area. So this would be the next target. So I'd be looking at from this area, drawing the Fibonacci's up to here. This is right now, it's in the lower 25 of this whole move. This is a swing trade if you're looking at probably swing trading.
he's in a buy right now.
You're in a buy?
Yeah.
Well, if you got into a buy down here, you're not doing too bad if you're a swing trader. If you got into a buy up here, you didn't do so hot. From an hourly standpoint, you're in the lower 20. This is the fact this pivot got broken over here. I'm going to have to redraw the target area to the down target. This could be the next area of support to the upside. So if you're buying down here and you're a swing trader, you're doing okay, but you might still be taking some heat. I'd still be looking for a little bit of a turnaround. We did get a bounce off of this area. If you bought here, you're probably taking some heat, but it's still going to be okay if your position size is okay. But this little area, this little zone right here is where you'd be looking at.
Nice. Pardon me, saying you can draw down. So
yeah, you probably, depending on where you bought. I mean, if you bought off of, let me see here. If you bought off of this pivot right here, let me get back to. Notice if you're looking at this pivot here for the buy, and this got broken, the next stop is going to be right in this little area right in here. So if I can spread that out a little bit. See, if you're looking at this pivot and you had your Fibonacci's drawn, let's see if I can find it here. Where's my? If you're looking at this pivot and you bought down here and you're getting broken, you're not getting broken by a lot right now. But if you're looking at coming over, here's their pivot, Here's the body of a candle. Now you can be looking at this little cluster right in here for, that would be the next area of interest.
So Chris says that he bought at 131.86. That's not, it's not too far up there, really.
131.86.
Yeah, just below the yellow moving average there.
131.86 would be right about somewhere right around in there ish. So you're probably looking at this little area right in here. This one got broken, has some more wicks. That got broken. I would say if you're, I mean, this is a case where you'd be maybe looking at, if you have the, if you're swing trading and you have position size such that you can take another position to buy, I may be looking at, of course, sort of like do what Gearbox and Variable do, is you're in a downtrend, you're buying in the downtrend, dollar cost averaging with higher positions, and then wait for the pullback to get you out of it. But right now, in fact, this area here got broken and it hasn't closed yet. Just trying to expand this out here a little bit. I'm having a hard time maneuvering this. This little area here you see this little wick right here it's wicking down, but it's finding some buyers coming in right around this area. So if you were using that, you've already broken it. So you have to come back down to the next area, which would be right down here. And this is your lower, actually you can look at the lower 25, which is, it's making new lows. I would see it come out of this area, wherever this, if it comes out, then we start looking at this would be where that's your target. That's where you got in. So if this area right here can hold, then you'd be looking at getting out of it, and by that time you'll be profitable if it can get up into this area. So if you can just hang on, find where the bottom is. And again, you're looking for that little. You want to find the bottom. You want to see a retest. Now I like this bigger zone. On swing trade, you may be able to work with this halfway of this area, depending on how much you want to. Let's see if I can take this on a 15-minute chart. We have a green zone right now, so we have the green zone. Maybe have it breaking the red zone, showing that it might be coming into an uptrend. So I would be looking at getting low, perhaps breaking this zone because that's a little zone. That's where the pivots are. Get that broken, come back in, retest, get your higher low. So if this green zone holds and this one gets broken, that's the reversal point. And at that point, then you can be looking at the retest. And then you should be okay. But I'd be looking for this pattern to the upside. I wait for make a low. At this point, if you're on a 1 hour chart or higher, I'd be looking at getting this zone to get broken as the reversal, and then come back to retest this area to go up higher. And that's probably what I would do with that. Okay. Any other questions? We are pretty much at our 9 o'clock hour. So any last minute questions before we go for the weekend?
No, doesn't seem to be any. Like everyone's raring to go for their Friday.
Yeah, everyone's ready to take off for the Friday weekend festivities. So, all right, well, we're going to wrap this thing up. Hope you learned something. Like I said, today's a good day just to kind of go over some techniques and different time frame. Whether you're swing trading or scalping, it's all this. You're still looking at the same pattern. It's just a matter of if you can find the higher time frame bottoms, and you can use a tight stop. If you're a swing trader, if you can get a micro view of the reversal to be able to hang into the trade, you can use a tighter stop. But generally speaking, what happens oftentimes, if you're in a higher time frame, if this is your zone and you want to come back, you have to have your stop down below here. So if you have your stop here, you're looking at a 64, maybe 100 pip stop, which is very typical for like 1 hour chart to swing trade. You need 100 pip stop. But if you can find that bottom with the scalping techniques that we use, the problem you run into is that oftentimes with a lower time frame, you have to know where the higher time frame zones are and make sure you clear those before you take that trade with a really tight stop, because you'll get stopped out a lot with that. If you're doing a 7 pip stop or 15 pip stop off of a hourly or daily chart, your average true range for the day is going to be significantly more than 15 pips. So you generally use a higher stop, smaller lot size, but you're going to be in the trade a lot longer. And that's okay. Some people like that, some people don't. But if you can find that perfect area where it pulls back, then you can be, it was like if it pulls back to the screen zone like it did here, and you could get in right here, and you want to use that zone as a stop, well, now you've got your 7 pip stop, and now you could possibly run it all the way up here with the 7 pip stop with a larger lot size, all the way up to the zone here, and then the zone up here. That'd be a nice little move. Okay, with that, we're going to call it a day. Thanks, everybody, for coming in. Hope you learned something, and we will see you on Monday. I'll probably be remote on Monday. We'll see what happens, but I should be around. Take care, everyone.
All right, everybody, have a fantastic weekend. See y'all next week.